While people have been sending messages back and forth to arrange marriages sight unseen throughout history, the slightly more modern concept of mail order brides is generally considered to have originated during the days of the American frontier, a region that, for a time, was decidedly lacking in members of the female persuasion. At the same time, the east coast of the US had something of a surplus of single ladies, especially following the Civil War. Thus, farmers, miners, and ranchers, frustrated with the lack of women they didn't have to pay, but could rather woo with their abilities with a spittoon and then start a family with, instead eventually took to placing ads in newspapers across the country looking for love. Single ladies, on the other side, often motivated by getting out of their present situation and finding a devoted man, in turn likewise took to placing ads for prospective husbands. Much like online dating today, when matches were found, the pair would invariably exchange saucy letters and at a certain point even photographs to see if they were suited for one another. Also like today, this form of matchmaking came with something of a social stigma, with it generally considered that the men were just out to get sex and exploit women, while the women were out for financial gain of some sort. However, with exceptions, the reality for the most part seems to indicate that then, as now, the majority's motives were not nearly so sinister or selfish. As law professor and author of Buying a Bride, An Engaging History in Mail Order Matches, Marcia Zug states, when she started researching the book, I expected to find that mail order marriages are fundamentally harmful and that these problems are long-standing. I was surprised that this is not what I found. Despite significant risks, mail order marriages are typically beneficial and even liberating for women. On that note, the ultimate goal for many men in the days of yore was simply to find a companion in life and someone to start and raise a family with, pretty much like the motivations of more traditional, established relationships. Indeed, many ads from men looking for brides reflect this quite explicitly. For example, consider this one from one lonely and quite frank 19th century man. I enclose my photograph with my full description. It shows the features as natural as can be, only it is too dark. I am very light complexion. Gray eyes, auburn hair, 6 foot high, weight 190 pounds. Inclined to be hump-shouldered, a muscular man and a widower 28 years old with a common school equations, but have got enough to attend to any business. I am strictly moral. Don't use tobacco nor whiskey. I have only one thing to offer, and it is neither lands nor gold, but a strong arm and a true heart, and will lay down my life for the right girl and be happy, for I am tired of living alone. The girl that steals my heart and takes my name for the remainder of my life I will make happy, for I am hunting a girl that I can idolize and make an angel of. Of course, others just wanted a more traditional arrangement for the day, love and emotional companionship not really considered at all. Case in point, an Arkansas man who wrote in 1855, any gal that's got a bed, a coffee pot, and a skillet, knows how to cut out breeches, can make a hunting shirt, and knows how to take care of children, can have my services until death parts both of us. However, given a study concerning mail order brides conducted in 1890 by criminologist Arthur MacDonald, this latter type of ad is unlikely to have swayed the typical woman looking to engage in such a mail order relationship. He noted, much to his consternation, that a large percentage of women placing and responding to these ads were primarily looking for a much more liberal and equal relationship than they could get with their local stock of men. As one woman he interviewed about her motivations in taking part in such an arrangement noted, I am very independent and I have views of my own which some people do not approve of. Yet another stated, I am tired of the Society Act and fancy I'd like just a tiny bit of bohemianism. Also of note when reading these ads is that the women are unusually forthcoming given the time period they were written in, prompting the aforementioned law professor Zug to surmise that such ads were quite liberating for women of the era as they allowed them, to quote her, to take a more active role in the courtship process. For example, consider this very frank ad written by a Missouri woman from 1910. Attractive woman, not a day over 30, would be pleased to correspond with eligible man. Not absolutely necessary that he should be young, would prefer one with property, but one with a good paying position would be satisfactory. The young lady is of medium height, has brown hair and gray eyes, not fat, although most decidedly she is not skinny. Her friends say she is a fine-looking woman. Object, matrimony. Reason for this advertisement, the young woman lives in a little dinky town where the best catches are the boys behind the counters in the dry goods and clothing stores, and every one of them is spoken for by the time he is out of his short pants. Or how about this expert from an ad placed by a group of women from Calgary in 1916? We have looked over the eligibles here here, but find most of them standing in front of the bar or out autoing with somebody else's wife. We don't call them men. What we want is real men with real brains and real honor. A man who would like a good, clean wife and a good, clean home and honor them both. Now, if some good bachelor with plenty of backbone, brains, and brawn, who keeps himself scrubbed and brushes his teeth, who pays enough attention to his fingernails to keep them from going into mourning for past decency, wants a home or a homey wife, and thinks he can stand a little scolding once in a while to give spice to his life, we shall be mighty glad to hear from him and all about him. Also, yes, you heard that last part right. This ad was indeed written by a group of area women looking for a potential male suitor. Even a century ago, men looking for love had to deal with ads about hot single women in their area, apparently. Not only that, but also similar to the modern world of online dating, we even uncovered a few 19th century news stories of men posing as young women, fake profiles, pictures, and all, in such mail-order bride ads. From the few stories we found, it would appear the motive was primarily to make a fool out of men who responded to the ads, although we're guessing the instances of men trying to woo other men into having a good sword fight wouldn't be something that would typically get reported. But in any event, in one case reported in the New York Times in 1876, supposedly multiple men were involved and even invited a prospective husband to meet, at which point they doused him in sulfur flour, paraffin oil, and pelted him with rotten eggs as he ran away, which just goes to show you people have always been dicks.